Oh, compliments will get you everywhere. You better watch out.
All right, we're just about to get started. The SBREIA meeting for April 17, 2023, the general meeting, monthly meetings, is now being called to order. I want to welcome everyone out here tonight for our general meeting. We please stand for prayer and remain standing for a pledge of allegiance. Mr. Presley will honor us with prayer.
Father, we come to you in the wonderful name of Jesus, and we thank you for every good and perfect gift that comes down from you without respect of persons. What you do for one, you do for all. And we thank you for that. We thank you that we live in a country, Lord God, where we can exercise our freedoms in every way, Lord. We pray this same prayer, Lord, for those around the world who have not experienced that. And we ask you to bring peace to times of turmoil, bring comfort to those who are mourning in these days and losing family members. We continue to acknowledge you in all of our ways, and we ask that you would direct our path as we stand praying. We ask you to forgive us for ways that are not pleasing in your sight, that our prayers would not be hindered, and we would be in a position to receive your goodness, both now and forevermore. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Outstanding prayer there, Mr. Presley. All right, please remain in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the next item on the agenda is the Secretary report. And thank you. I think Ms. Nancy Nelson is away, so the next item will be the treasurer. Yeah, she's sick tonight, so we're down to the treasurer report, and that will be Mrs. Dolores Smith. Would you please come and give us a report?
We do business with Home Federal Bank, and I purchased 2 CDs because we had money just sitting there, and that bothers me. I like for money to work for me. So anyway, we got 4.75% interest rate on these 2 $2,500 CDs. So we have got that, and since we took that out of the checking account, let me see, it's on this one. We have $43.97.12 left in the checking account. We have a total of $93.98.82. We have collected $60 dues at they're $60 a year. Anyway, we have collected $720 for the whole year on those. So anyway, we had some expenses to catch up on that were not paid at the end of December. So far this year, we have spent a total of legal and professional dues, $1184.89, a total operating income, of $1880.81. So anyway, we have a minus because we did not have anybody to pay their dues this year if they paid $120 last year. So this is why we don't have a lot of money coming in, but we don't need it. But anyway, we have a wonderful paid treasurer, and she is with her daughter in Massachusetts, fixing to have her first grandbaby. So we're excited with her. She sends me all this stuff. She's the best person in the world. That's the best money we've ever spent. She keeps up with all this membership. We have 7 people that applied online. They filled out an application, but they never did. They have never came, and they have never paid. I don't know do we have any extra sheets, Pat, of those people? Of those that have not paid?
No, we don't have.
Okay, we don't have that. But anyway, I reached out to some of them today. I don't know what's going on. One guy said, well, I want to flip. But anyway, anybody got any questions? We're in good shape. And these are 18-month CDs, though. They were 18-month that I got. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, for that fine report. The next item on the agenda is buy, sell, and trade. This is the time for any members here tonight have any properties, items that they want to buy, sell, or trade. Does anyone have anything for buy, sell, and trade? Mr. President.
A lady called me today. She's looking for a property. Her budget is $800 to $900. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, single lady. No babies.
She wants to rent.
No kitty. She wants to rent. She has an $800 budget, $800, $900. I have her phone number. If you have something for her, please see me at the end.
What part of town?
She said Bossier.
333 Berry.
333 Berry, B-E-R-R-Y.
B-E-R-R-Y.
B-E-R-R-Y. Okay, I'll give you her number. Okay?
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. I said I couldn't promise her anything, but I knew you guys would have something. Ask and you shall receive.
Thank you, Mr. President, for that remarks on buy, sell, and trade. Anybody? Buy, sell, and trade. Anybody else with buy, sell, and trade? All right, we're down to the fun part for our speaker. Our speaker tonight is Mr. Don Kimmel. He's with Gibsland Bank. I think he's been employed with Gibsland about 45 years.
I've been banking
for 45 years. Okay. All right, please come up and give a brief introduction and speak for tonight. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Don Kimmel.
I'm very excited to be here. My title is actually Financial Wellness Coordinator. Gibson Bank and Trust wanted, I don't think y'all need this. Do y'all hear me well?
Yes.
All right, because I mean, my voice is so strong, I'd be afraid that I would blow your eardrums. But anyway, and I do financial wellness. We have about 10 seminars that we go out into the community to make a difference in our market area. So I'm here tonight on behalf of Gibbons Bank and Trust. What we're going to talk about today is fraud, and we're going to mix it with some identity theft just to join it. I want to apologize. They haven't got me a laptop because I've only been with Gibsland 2 months. But I've been doing this for 45 years. Okay. But Miss Nancy, I thought she said that they would have it, so I brought a thumb drive. I would have shot it up there, but we don't because I needed to bring a computer, but we'll make it happen. What I wanted to let you know is, again, this is strictly information that we want to share. This particular topic tonight is how to protect your small business from fraud. And then we're going to mix it in with some identity theft because it's really out of control. There's a lot of issues taking place, and we want to make sure we cover it. The handouts are for you to keep, the pens for you to keep, and please participate. If you have any questions, I would love to answer it. So really, the worksheet I wanted you to just go over real quickly, where you could take your notes when we talk about it. Are your funds and how you transactions, are they secured? Are you keeping company information private? Are you aware of the latest fraud trends? We're going to talk about, are your internet controls strong enough? So I got a question real quick. How many of you have a computer at home that you use and do your business off of? All right. Now I want you to put your hand back up and keep it up for a second. How many of you have got it at home or at your office and you have not changed, that you have the same passcode that you had when you set it up? There's always a few. I want to give you some Band-Aids because doing that is going to get you hurt, even at a private, at home. Y'all, things are happening so fast. Most companies are saying to change them every 35 to 45 days. Because if you're going to get hacked, they're going to come in through your system. You know, they can't just get into it overnight, but they work on it and they work on it and they work on it, and they eventually come across your and figure out your passcode. Once they get into your passcode, then they start playing with your bank accounts and all the other stuff that you do on your computer. Most financial institutions do. They really make you change your password about every 35 to 45 days, because just about the time somebody could maybe hack it, you've changed the passcode, you've killed them. Okay? So that's one of the things that we talk about a lot, that we should really constantly be changing our passcodes and make it more difficult to get in. They're attacking small businesses. Why do you think that is? Y'all gonna have a lot more money than I'm gonna have. And the individual trend is still out there, but they really are going into small business areas, individuals, entrepreneurs, stuff like that. They really are starting to hone in to try to get in and be a part of that process, because they find themselves getting a lot more money that way than they would individually, going after individual information. One of the biggest things out there right now that they're hitting, I mean, they are hacking computers left and right. How many of you write checks for your business, for what you do? Number one hit, writing checks for businesses. You can't control always who is cashing that check, where they take it to cash the check. Does anybody, if you're from Shreveport and you've been here a while, back at the that common street, you went down in the bottoms, and there used to be a liquor store, grocery kind of store, and they were the top number one hit in Shreveport, Bossier in counterfeiting checks. They were constantly being hit, and they would, you know, because people would take their checks there and cash them there, and they would charge them a fee to do it. But then they had the check, and the checks were all the time being washed and changed. So I will tell you that when we're talking to banks, companies all the time, small business owners, writing checks are getting really an issue, where there's a lot of times where somebody's hit with fraud, okay? And they wash it. They leave the signature correct, the check is good, they clean who it was written to, change that name, and change that amount. I had a big farm in Monroe, had a check show up in Houston, and it got cashed. Because, I mean, the count was good, the balance was good, it was a real check, it was his real signature. Even if, you know, if they checked signature, it was all there to be good. And they cashed it. So writing checks has become a big issue for small businesses and big businesses as well. ACH, setting up automatic pay, is a lot smarter, because you're keeping your check out. And this is not a ploy to try to sell you a cost factor. It is just becoming, if you do business and you have to pay contractors and you have to pay different people, it's a great way to set them up where you automatically put it in, you know, straight from your account into an account versus writing checks. But if you write checks, are you auditing your checks? Do you really keep a constant check on it? Are you verifying that your box of checks you're not gotten to, that they're still in sequence? Yeah, because that's key. So many times, if I'm going to steal, if I came to work for you for, you know, a project or a while, I would and found out where you kept the checks, I'm going to go in there and try to pull to the bottom of the stack, because when will you finally get there? I'm going to be a long time gone, right? So auditing that check, keeping in touch of it, is very important. That we want to make sure. Revenue is lost immediately. Has anybody had fraud hit them personally or business in the business? Yeah. No? You have? Would you mind sharing? I mean, what happened?
Well, I used my debit card accidentally and totally just didn't realize that I had used the debit card instead of the credit card. So luckily I was able to get my money back, but I
think I had one more. Yeah, that happens a lot. I'm going to give you some Band-Aids. That hurts when they steal from you, right?
It does.
So it does. But guys, every day sorry. Every day it literally is happening on a regular basis. And a lot of times you get it back, but there's a lot of times that you don't. Because if you don't have everything put in place correctly, the banks are not going to cover it, right? And I want to do it on a personal note because you did a debit card. Choosing your PIN number is so important. And you really need to make sure what we're doing. Did y'all know that 20% of American people are using 1, 2, 3, 4?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a true statistics. I went, wow. The other part I want to share is this. Don't use things that are in your wallet. If I stole your purse or wallet, what do you think I'm going to do with the debit card? I'm going to try your birthday. Mine's July 22nd. I'd try 0722. The year you're born. I was born 1957. If you know, some people still carry the Social Security card, the last 4 of the social. That's the kind of stuff that gets hit and is not as hard to figure out as a lot of people think it is. I've actually had, well, I don't want anybody to tell out loud because then they might watch you. Does anybody, a lot of people write the PIN on the back of the card where you're supposed to sign. So that way they can look at the PIN, stick the card in and remember it. Or they have it on another piece of paper in the wallet. Guys, if you have your PIN anywhere near your card, do you realize you're not protected by your bank? They would not have to pay that claim. If you shared your PIN with anybody, they would not have to pay that claim. And that, husband and wives, guys, we give you 2 cards. We give you a card, and if your spouse on your account, we give 2 cards out. One's mine, one's Patty's. We're not supposed to know each other's PINs. Because under your contract, you're not supposed to share your PIN. And anybody got their card on them right now that they didn't sign the back of the card? That is not protected. Yours is not protected.
I have on the back, please ask for ID.
Give me, I love that one. Yes. And let me ask you this. How many times have you seen ID be asked for? When you've used that card yourself, how many people have asked you for an ID? I'm going to plug you in. Because they don't. I could take your card right now, run to Walmart, and get us all a latte. They never ask. They don't even, in other words, they got it anymore that they don't even touch the card. I stick it in. I've looked at the card and I know the name that I'm going to sign because I'm going to ask for it to be.
So I'm better off signing it?
You have to sign it because that's part of your contract. What did your card say when you got it? When you receive this card, sign the back of the card immediately. If you're not signing the back of the card immediately, you violated the contract.
There's no signature place on it.
I've never seen a card that didn't have a signature place. What was that? Capital One. Yeah, it is. That's where you're supposed to sign on that. Where's mine? Look, it should say signature. But, and again, this is just little things that a lot of people don't think about it. And again, relationships and things like that play a game too. That gives them out not to pay if you don't follow policies and procedures, right? So wanted to share that. That's just something that happens because once fraud takes place, it's lost, it's gone. I just did O'Reilly's the other day and we was talking about it. So I asked if anybody had any fraud. Well, one store had just taken a $50 bill and it was counterfeited. That's money lost. There's no way to get it back. They took it in and then they went to deposit. And guys, no bank is going to take your deposit of your rents because do y'all collect with cash? Or is it all? Try not to. Yeah, but if you put it in and then you put it into a deposit, the banks are going to catch it. And they're going to pull it out of your deposit and they're going to subtract it from your balance and then they'll let you know that you had a counterfeit amount of money in it and then it goes to the feds and you're just out. I guess you can go back to the renter or whoever you got it from, if you know who, whatever. But that's one of the things that a lot of big issues are taking place is counterfeit awareness and what's going out there with the funds. All right. And email and mail war, we will tell you this even in a personal business factor. If you've got a computer set up for your business, that's all you should do is business on it. Don't go on the internet. Don't look up and Facebook and things that you do with what you work, where you work and work from. Our institution doesn't allow it anymore. In other words, we cannot get on Facebook. We cannot go out on site and do anything other than bank business and what we're allowed to participate on. Because that's how mail war and all that stuff comes into your system is usually through an email that you opened, that you weren't sure who it belonged to, that kind of thing. And it had it in there and now it's inside the system trying to get information and steal from it. So the best thing you can do when it comes to business accounts, our business, transaction. Have a separate. We tell a lot of small businesses you should have a payroll account, and then you can have a work capital account. In other words, don't have it all in the same one, because if something's hit, we're going to shut down your account. Anybody know how many days I have to make a decision whether we're going to consider it fraud or not?
1.
No, it's 10 business days. So you get I have 10 business days to make that decision. But guess what happens? I'm shutting the account down and I'm locking it down, and you might have rents and things you got to pay, and you can't get to your funds till I release and verify and decide what has happened. So having separate accounts for different identities. One of the things I want to talk about personally, how many of you shop online? I love to do the online shopping. Guys, and here's the key. Have a separate account. And this is not to cost money, because here's the bottom line. At Gibsland Bank, we have free accounts. Okay? And then there's account that you can have free if you have automatic deposit pay. There's accounts that only takes 10 swipes a month to make them free, right? But here's the point. If I am using an account that I'm going to go online for, and I strictly set that account up for that, and it gets hit, I still can pay my rent, my insurance, my electric bill, things that I might have set up automatic to withdraw. They don't get affected. And I'm going to get that piece cleared if I didn't do it, right? So having a secondary account for online purchases is pretty smart to do, and credit card is a great way to do it as well. Okay, it doesn't have to be a checking account with a debit card. It could be a credit card, something that is separate from your primary account where you put all your living expenses in, or your business expense account where you've got to pay for the different items and things that you need, okay? Keep private information private. We give it out way too quick. Do y'all use any vendors in what y'all do in your business areas? Vendors, different people that you use? Yeah, are you checking them out? Because a lot of times on the vendors, you're giving a lot of personal information, whether you write them a check, that kind of thing, if you set up an account to interact through, they're getting a lot of your personal information. Are they keeping it safe? A private part that I want to share. Has anybody lately went out to their mailbox and raised the red flag? You had? Do you mind telling me what you had what you put out there in your mailbox to get picked up?
Bills?
I know. So let me tell you something, y'all. I'm sorry, what's your name? Sean. Sean, y'all, guess what? Sean banks at GBT. Yes. He lives at 825 Lincoln Drive, Shreveport, Lincoln, 71107. I was by his house. The flag was up. I pulled out the mail. When I opened one of them, he was paying an electric bill. And right there was a check. Well, we're so proud of ourselves, we put our logo on your check. Every bank, every credit union puts their logo on your check. So I knew he banked at GBT. I have his address because it's on the check. I have his full name. It's on the check. Y'all, I have his route and account number. I know his checking account number. So what do you think if I was to call GBT and I said, this is Ralph?
Sean.
What was it?
Sean.
Sean?
We're at Ralph's.
We're going to get Ralph. Sorry. Sean, this is Sean Kimmel. I don't know his last name, so I'm going to give you my Sean Kimmel. And let me give you my address, and I'm going to give you my account number. I want to check on an electric bill, because I have the bill. It's paying the electric bill. It's check number 2000. I want to see if it's clear. So I gave her the routing number, I gave her the account number, I gave her a check number. Now she's looking in her system. Y'all, she sees check number 1999 just went through. Check number 1998, maybe check number 2001. Am I in sequence with the 2000? Yeah, this is Sean on the phone. That's happening daily, guys. Shreveport, Bossier, every city, people are, there's gangs going around driving, and they're looking for the flag on the mailbox. Because majority of the time, what Sean said was in there is exactly what's in there. Or maybe it's my mother literally sent her granddaughter a birthday card, and she put $60 cash in it. The card made it to the birthday girl. There was no money in the card when it got there.
How much safer is it to put it in a blue box at a post office?
Absolutely. I was about to say that. Guys, I'm old school. I write checks. I do. I don't like the internet. I don't like computers. So I write my 3 checks a month that I have to write. And I literally, on my way into work, I know where every post office is and every post office box is. I like taking it straight to the post office. I get out of my car, I go inside and I drop it behind the wall. That's what I do. But I have in the past used to drop them in the lockbox. By the way, anybody been on the south side of town? That big post office on, is that East 70th?
He's empty.
70th Street? Yeah. They've got them, have they reopened them? They had problems, people were stealing out of them boxes, and they had taped them off, like they had closed them off not to drop mail in that box, them boxes. They're on the big, nice side of town, I think that's East 70th.
I'd like to ask a question regarding
Yeah.
what you were just mentioning as it relates to, Sean, you having Sean's check in, electric bill and all that. Is it not a requirement for all banks to vet the person they're talking to on the phone? I maybe ask for a password or something of that nature?
I'm gonna give you a stress ball. Yes, but it doesn't happen. Y'all, do you know how the turnover's going on in banks? Probably every job. I mean, we're hiring tellers every other day, probably every day. All right, and did you hear my story? This is Sean Kimmel. I'm at 825 Lincoln Drive. Let me give you my account number. I'm looking for check number 2000. Has it cleared? And guys, people that steal, they got personality. I mean, they taught themselves. My mom is 88. I'm like, Mom, don't answer phone. If you don't see me or Alan's name on, don't answer it. She gets 42 calls a day. Because she answers. And these calling reps, they get paid by the number of people, not that they sell, who answers it. So they got to hurry in. My helper literally every day deletes, because we tried to block them, they just change the number and come back. She is a number that is known to answer her phone. So she gets about 40 a day. I would love to get AT&T on a, never mind, we won't go back. But so I hope I answered. It should. And the vetting, you can only do so much by phone. And again, one of the things I want to share, how many of you get junk mail from a bank or credit union? All you do is throw it away. People do it all the time. Guys, in Shreveport, I think Bossier might do, but I can only speak of Shreveport. I have this big old trash can. And I keep it in the back of the house, it's so ugly. But on Wednesday night, I take that trash can and I grab it, and I have to pull it all the way down my driveway, and I got to sit it right there on the edge of the street. Dumpster diving is the new job. They're driving around and they like your house, so I'm going to get a couple bags. And what they're trying to do is dig through your trash and steal your identity or a business identity. Because how many of you have a credit card? Do you ever do you not still get 3 live checks in your bill statement every month? They'd like you to pay off somebody, go buy a big purchase. And if that's in the trash and I take it out and you're a good client of that particular bank and I fill out that amount on that check and I go to the bank that I set up to defraud you with and I deposit that check, is it going to clear? Absolutely. How many days do you think it is before you know it cleared? Because it's on a credit card. 30 to 45 days when you get your statement? I'm gone. The account's closed. It's no good, right? And that's why we're telling you, junk mail, business or individual, you gotta read it. You want me to say that again? You really need to read it. Guys, we're not trying to sell you to get you to look at my mail or somebody else's. My point is open it up and make sure it is junk mail. Because what it could be is my statement sending you for your first payment. Because somebody stole your identity, you didn't have anything at GBT, so we got you, they stole your identity, they applied for a $5,000 credit card or whatever, and we approved it. And then 35, 45 days later, you're getting your first statement, but you didn't have anything with GBT, so you just threw it away. Or you dropped it in the shredder without even opening it. That was me notifying you that your first payment was due. My wife and I, we bought one of them fireplaces for the backyard. Oh, y'all, it is so much fun. Friday night, we have our box that we've been saving, a week or two, whatever, and we go, when we start the fire, we get us a glass of wine, and we just start laughing at the junk mail. Oh man, Legion's one at me. Here's a $400 offer, a Captain Wood. You know, there's no freebies, y'all. There's no such thing as a freebie thing. If you pay attention to the small print, you're going to pay for whatever you think you're getting for free. But anyway, you really do need to read junk mail, even through your business factors, just to make sure someone hasn't tapped your account or your information and now is using it to defraud you. And one of the biggest places and why they get away with it so easily is people don't look at their junk mail. If I don't have something with nobody, oh, it's just junk mail. And they might even do this. Oh, I just told what I'm supposed to say. We got this, I've done this. But my point is, y'all, I have a 2-year at home. Not really, God help me if I had that. But my point is, I could take it back up just to make a deposit factors. So it's just things that you need to pay attention to. We are going to have to play this just right, though. Does anybody do wire transfers? Does anybody? Because I know this is a different type. But actually, wire transfer, wire out money when their account's okay. But I want to share this with you. If you ever do put wire and transfer, if you ever get big enough where you're going to use that kind of facility, dual control. Texarkana, literally, city of Texarkana got hit a couple years ago, $30,000 because they hacked the mayor's email account, got it. They sent an email, and it's coming off his account, his email, to accounting, wanting $30,000 to be sent overseas to buy some equipment that they got such a good deal on. So he sent an email asking them to put $30,000 in the mail to buy this equipment. And it was fake. The mayor did not send that email. The problem was they went under dual control. So think about that for just a second. The mayor, you get an email from an accounting part, but that company has it set up dual control. So I'm the mayor, Don Kimmel, and I'm saying send $30,000, but my backup is Sean. And so I have to reach out to Sean because it takes dual control. And Sean said, well, Kimmel ain't talked to me about any equipment we want to purchase. Hold tight with that, right? He stopped it right then and there. And then he verifies with Don Kimmel, they're going to know how to reach each other or shoot, and it would have been stopped. But by the time they found out they were defrauded and they found out where the account went to and they went to seize on the account, do you think any money was in the account? That's instantly taken. And wires cannot be pulled back.
Question.
Once they're gone and delivered, they're gone. All right? And
Is that the term that's used in the banking industry, dual control
Yep.
with wire transfers?
yes, absolutely.
So whoever we bank with, if I'm gonna send a wire, I have to ask them, do you practice dual control?
No,
What?
we would ask you that. It's
They're
not
supposed to
required
ask
you
me
do
that.
it. Yes, it's not required, but I would not recommend any institution of any size, any kind that uses wire transfers to send money if I did not have it under dual control, because they are hacking into systems, creating emails, sending it on behalf of the owner, that kind of thing, and they're fraudulent emails. And like I said, with wire transfer, it's instant. Once we push the button and it's gone, we cannot pull it back. I haven't heard of one they got back. We lost a pretty high up individual, lost $400,000 because he wired it, and it was a fraudulent wire. It wasn't to go. So you really want to make sure of that. The one thing I would tell you about everybody in the room, because y'all are your own entrepreneurs in your own company, y'all have a secondary person come in and do your books once a year at least. I love everybody shaking their head, because guys, that is such a powerful play. Especially if there's 2 or 3 people that might work with you, you've got more than one person. One of the biggest fraud factors is internal. And where it happens most of all is bookkeeping. A lot of times it's a family member or someone you know, someone you've really felt trust. But guys, when you're standing and seeing money all the time, all of a sudden they justify, I'm going to put it back. And they use it, then they use it again, and then before you know it, they got to a point they can't put it back. And it's just time to catch, and it's usually 15 to 18 months, and the average is about $20,300 what bookkeepers take. Small businesses really should have a secondary. What is a good point for a secondary to come in and do? What? Give me another thought.
Ours come in every month.
I love it. And what's a benefit to that?
Because you can catch it if I don't.
And you're right on I want to give you a grip. You're right there. What I'm trying to say is, guys, bringing in a third party once a year or twice a year, they do other people's books. They see what's going on, what happened to ABC and what happened over here to D. So if they're seeing something you're doing that fraud is taking place somewhere else, they're going to tell you about it because you're paying them. They're an employee of yours. So having someone just come in and look at what you're doing is such a smart move to make sure that you continue doing the right things, right? One of the big things that's going on right now is small businesses, as well as large businesses, their computer systems are being hacked and then locked down, and then they're ransomed to get they charge a ransom fee to get their information back and open so they can go back doing business. And it's happening every day. I had one company in Texas County got hit 3 times. And so there's insurance out there that you can actually purchase to protect your system. It's not only that it's going to protect it and get that money put back in, it's to be able to bring your company back up and running. Because if they lock down your whole system, what do you do for your business? And even if you went and bought a new computer, you got to load all the different things back in and all that cost factors. And so there's insurances that are covering the new computer and all the equipment and what it would take to recap that. And it's huge. A lot of major companies are that's one of their target expenses every year. They purchase that insurance and get a peace of mind that they're safe with it. Any questions so far, y'all? I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any. I can't believe I Yes.
VPNs. Let's say, for example, I use QuickBooks Online. Would having a VPN, is it worth its salt? I don't know much about VPNs.
Well, somebody tell me what that is.
Virtual private network. I don't know much about it except that that's it.
Yeah, see, I've never heard of that term.
VPN is supposed to be block what your location is.
Okay. Here's what I want to tell y'all guys, and I can't answer that. I really have not ever heard that one. But I will tell you what I hear all the time. People buy the little booklets where there's credit scores. What is one of them? Experience. Yeah. What's that big one? It's in my head. It's playing. But my point is, they'll go into a bank or credit union and they're looking at doing a loan, and my score is this, and then the bank said, no, that ain't your score, and they're like, yeah, it is, because they purchased that prospect to be able to do. And what it is they've come up with a formula that's really close to your bureau's formulas. I can't twist, but anyway, they'll be off. Well, banks and credit unions, what we do is when you apply for a loan, especially any size loan, we're going to do a blend. We're going to pull all 3 bureaus, okay? And we're going to get a true score. Because here's what happens. In Shreveport, you will have a major player, a credit company that most mom and pops use. So they're going to have a little bit more information than the other one. Maybe it's Experian versus one of the others. So they'll have a little bit more information in that credit bureau than they have in that credit bureau. Most big things are joint. In other words, Ford Motor Credit, all your banks, dealers, these big companies, they use all 3 and they report to all 3. But a mom and pop reports to the one that they want to pay for in that market area. Now, I should pick it up when I do my application because I'm asking, do you have any other credit? I'm matching my bureau that I pull. If there's something that's not on my bureau, I'm asking you for it, right? But when we're doing a loan, we're pulling all 3, so we're grabbing all 3. So the scores will be way off. They really will. I've seen it so many times. Now, do I say not to do it? I'm saying if it makes you happy and you feel good about it, then why not do it? I mean, but I wouldn't, for me, personally. And so to go back to your question, I've never heard of it, but there's a lot of insurances out there that you can buy for protect you against fraud and up to $1 million and things like that. If you got hit, you're probably glad you had it. It's what it takes for your peace of mind. I think it's the big thing that you got to do. And there's some good reputable, but I would do my homework on any company that I would sign up with to know that they're reputable and they have that reputation. That if something does hit, they cover. Good question, Joe. All right. The other sheet that's on your form in the back side of this one, by the way, y'all pull this one out. It's a questionnaire. Just sign it so I can have a head count. That's here. That's how I can prove how many people was in front of me. And if you're interested in anything that I have underneath it, you can circle it. And if you give me your name and number, I'm going to reach out to you. But just signing it just lets me be able to have that and I'll get it in, just be able to verify. But y'all, here's some great tips that we have, and it's not GBTs, it's banking in general, credit, you know, the credit unions and all, talking about different ways on your, handling your books, to just different things that are taking place, insurance, you know, ACHs. One of the things I love about ACH is a lot of people don't do it because they say, well, the person that I do business with doesn't accept ACHs. Well, do you know how that's taken care of if your bank offers ACH? I send my check on behalf of you. In other words, you don't have to send a check. If they don't accept ACH transfers, and they won't accept the check kind of thing, then GBT is going to pay that bill off their account. So only my check is still going to that institution, not yours. Positive pay, if you write checks, check with your institution. It's very inexpensive. But positive pay is an insurance policy for check writers, business that write check. Because what you do is you send a book every day of the checks that you're writing that day to the bank, and we're going to load it into our system, and it goes to every teller in the company, to every branch in the company. So when that check comes in to be cashed or deposited, it's got to match. If it's off, if it ain't made to the same person that you had sent it to me in the amount, we're going to stop it and hold it, and you're going to be notified to whether you changed it after the fact or whatever, but it's not allowed to be cashed. So that would have stopped it.
What about payment methods like Zelle, Z-E-L-L-E?
Yeah. A lot of people use them, and I don't know anything on it. I don't, so that's it. But I know that is a big one.
What was the question?
Zelle, using Zelle to pay. So many new things are happening. Like, I mean, you used to, I could not send money to your bank if you weren't in the same bank that I was in. Now we're crisscrossing and paying all kinds of accounts. I will say this out loud. I just got this year. I had a flip phone. My kids said, Daddy, you need to step up. I don't have Facebook or anything else. I love it for the pictures because they're really a lot bigger than my flip phone. And I can FaceTime my grandbabies. But would I put my credit card in this thing and tap it? Absolutely not. Because if they could pull your credit card out to pay that bill or to buy that, you don't think they can pull other things out of your phone? There's no way. I mean, that's me. So, and I'm watching, when I'm in a store, I almost freak when I see somebody tap their phone to that thing. It's like, guys, how many of you store all your information, all your passcodes? If I steal your phone, I now have access to all your passcodes. And guys, it's not Don Kimmel, it's an IT guru kind of person that are stealing these phones and stealing information out of the phone. And it was inside, do y'all remember when Target? Yeah, Target got hit. And it was credit cards to debit cards, everything that was swiped. That's an internal thing. They were pulling and duplicating cards. So I got a question. How many of you pump your own gas? Everybody's saying, I don't think there's no full service anymore. One, they said, my husband doesn't. Okay, but he's still somebody. But here's my point. Before you pump, before you buy at a station, y'all, they're picking big gas stations, like the Bunkies that have 100, and the fancier gas station everybody stops at. They love to do it early morning and around 5 o'clock. I'm in a hurry to get to work. I forgot to gas up. I've got to stop and get gas. I'm not paying that much attention, and they have a skimmer on that machine. So as soon as you swiped your card up or down or in or out, they have captured your card and duplicating it. They're in the parking lot across the street with binoculars. They're watching. They don't leave them on. They're on 10, 15 minutes, and they're going to go by themselves, either make sure it's still firmly or they're going to move it. And it's happening everywhere, especially here in Shreveport, Bossier. We have a ton of that where they got skimmers on it. So I'm telling you, before you do it, where you go in or out or up or down, reach out there and pull on it. Yeah. It looks like, y'all, it is something that snaps and Velcros, I can't say that word, on, or a little special kind of gluing factors where they can remove it, but it looks like the machine. The second thing I would tell you, so even ATM, I'm going to pull where I'm going in just to make sure nothing's on it. The second part that I would tell you is when you're at a gas station, do you ever pay attention to the station next? They required, it's happened a few years back, they put the security tape on the pump. a little piece of foam. That's because they were putting them on the backside where you couldn't see or pull on it. So now they're making them go and check their own machines all the time, and they have to seal it so it shows not to broke in. I was at a machine where I looked at mine, I had a blue tape. The one right over next to me and across over that way, they were all black. Everything was black with where I was at. It was a blue strip. It had a security tape, but it was a different color. I did not use that guy's tape. I reported it. So I pay attention to the pumps. I look at it to make sure the secure tape is on the door. It's right at the door. And it'll be a strip. And every station can have different colors. Like I've seen blue, I've seen red, I've seen mostly they're usually black. But it shows where they've been audited, and that makes sure there was no skimmers behind that. And then there's secure tape. So if you see that the tape's been broke, don't use it. And if you see it's a different color, I would not use it. These are just some things that are happening all the time out there. All right?
I have a question.
I'm sorry.
Can a vendor or a business take money out of your account if you haven't signed up to let them do that?
No.
Well, it's happened 3 different times. It happened, I mean, I looked at my.
It wasn't GDT, was it?
No, it wasn't.
I'm gonna give you a gift.
I looked at my credit card bill and I had something for Sam's.
Yeah. They should.
Well, I called up my bank, which wasn't, and they said they have to have you have to give your permission. So I called up Sam's and I said, I didn't give my permission. Well, your account's due to renew in 15 days. I said, yes, I know that, but I'll come in and I'll do it in person. Okay, so it was Sam's, then somebody told me about Walmart, and listen to this, guys. I had a house, had the electricity on. SWEPCO took the bill. I didn't get a bill. And I kept thinking, why didn't I get a bill? Why didn't I get a bill? Well, guess what? They were just drawing it out of my account. Now that doesn't seem right.
I will tell you, and again, because I don't know, they shouldn't be able to. That's every institute. You have to authorize. But I want to share this with you. You might have authorized at some point and you didn't realize you authorized, but here's what I want to tell you. People get on the internet all the time and they order something that's going to be 6 payments. And they authorize the bank to pay the monthly payments. At the end of the 6th payment, if that company don't stop it, the bank's going to pay it the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month. We cannot stop them payment. You set them up. I cannot ever stop it. The only thing I can tell you is to close that account, let's reopen, and they no longer have access. So another thing I would tell you, in business as well, I would never give my account number to any business, me personally. What I would give you is my debit card to be able to take the payments out. Because if once my 6 payments is up and you hit me again, I'm shutting that debit card down. And at GPT, I can give you one in 60 seconds. Another one for that card account. The old one is no longer any good. You got a new one. But you authorize a withdrawal. Once you authorize a withdrawal, the banks cannot stop the withdrawals. And the reason, and I'll give you why the reason is, because I can't determine, if I was to do that and I stopped it, but you didn't want it stopped, what are you going to do with me?
Get mad.
And mad and sue or whatever, because you authorized it, I stopped it. Especially what if it was an insurance policy that you now just lost your coverage because I stopped it thinking, that you said it was 6 payments. We don't do it. In other words, you authorize someone to withdraw, you authorized it. And yes, like GMAC and Ford Motor, they're a great company. I mean, they're going to take their 60 payments and stop. Now, I will tell you, I've heard many grab 61 because somebody forgot to cut the switch off, that it was over with. How long do you think it took to get your 61st payment? They only pay bills once a month. And it just happened. So you got to wait 35 more days or whatever it is before they cut it again. But rarely, I mean, they are good about doing it. But it happens. I've seen it happen a lot of times where it didn't get cut off when it should have, and the payment was withdrawn.
Well, what I'm thinking is that maybe somebody at SWEPCO checked something, or, I mean.
You could have, without even realizing, here's what I would think happened. You authorized some point, you realize, oh, I didn't send that payment, so you called them, And then they said, well, we can take it out of the account, and
No,
you authorized it.
no, I don't do
I'm
that.
shocked what the two stores you shop, because they're not supposed to be.
Well, somebody told me about the Walmart thing, because I don't do
Yeah,
Walmart.
yeah.
You know.
Walmart has the right to amend your agreement when you sign up for them. Same thing happened with me at Sam's. They renewed at $100, and I said, well, I didn't renew it, and I canceled auto renew, and they said, well, no, you gave us consent to renew it automatically, and you didn't cancel. I said, I spoke to someone, and
Yeah.
they said they
That's what I'm
canceled.
saying.
Yeah.
Some point, see, I have Sam's, but I've always paid mine
When
with the
you're
check.
there.
And I went there and paid my fee. And then in October, when they start telling you it's gonna be due again, I tell my wife, oh, you gotta go back and renew. Because I do not give my account now. I can't control that. Because once you give it, thank you, sir. Once you give it, and you might only meant to do it that one time, it's on record that you authorized. And a company like that, they're getting very, what's the right word? But they're very controllable. I mean, they don't they want everybody, y'all, people tell, and this is just Don Kimmel saying, I wouldn't be shocked if there was no cash in 10 more years. I mean, they're driving to set it up where we don't have our own cash, and then it becomes very controllable. Well, fraud will go down big time for the banks and stuff like that, but they have more control over situations. Everything's electronic, they have access to it. And I just had given that kind of, my daughter, I did her taxes this year, for my CPA did, and I paid for them. She's already got her money like 4 days later, because she gave them the account number and have it put in, and I wait for them to send me my check, so it'll be about end of May, part of June. But I have a problem getting even Uncle Sam, which somebody said, Don, they got your account. I don't know, I never gave it to them, but I don't. My wife wants me to do it, but I'm like, and then when I owed, so it's like, well, why would I want to give an account, pull it out, I'll send them a check. And then when I see the check clear, I know it was paid. So, anyway, any questions, y'all? I know y'all are tired, and I appreciate y'all.
Excuse me, I got one question for you.
Yes.
And I know you're not gonna be able to answer it but I'm just curious. So, with the prevalence of fraud in all avenues, because there's new technology coming out every day. So there's some software now that can take your voice. It needs 10 seconds of your voice, and it can mimic your voice and recreate your voice.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence, correct.
Well,
so what would the bank's liability be by that theft by deception, that someone's mimicked your voice, has gone in and given all the information required, and this person has gone through and cleaned out their account for?
I don't think the banks are going to be responsible because you gave authorization. You did it. You did it, not me. In other words, I tell people all the time, be careful when you get calls, because if there are questions where they want you to say yes, or they want you to say no, or they want you to do different things, they are trying to set it up where they can use that to say you asked for it. But
no,
I don't think the banks, again, I'm not an attorney, but I would say we would not be liable, because a lot of people don't understand about the credit card and things like that. If you don't follow all the procedures and policies on it, you're forfeiting your security.
Yeah. But I would think that would be a real gray area for banks, because of the insurance, and that's deception.
Yeah.
That does not come from me. I didn't give authorization for it.
Well,
Well,
the reason why I don't think they're going to, because I will say this, y'all, they're accepting electronic signatures.
Oh, yeah.
I keep thinking fraud's going to go so out of control, it's not even going to be funny. Because if you get enough information, then apply, and I don't ever have to come in. You never see my driver's license. You're not verifying I am who I am. And then you're going to let me sign electronically? So you're still ain't seeing me? I just think we're going to see, in a very short time, some serious stuff out there that I don't know where it's going to play. I don't. I was so surprised that the government allowed it. I saw a special where people's houses are being taken from them.
Yeah.
Because they're doing mortgages totally online.
Yeah.
Totally. They're doing the appraisals because they do drive-bys, or they go online and look up all the records at the deal, and do all this stuff, and then they let somebody buy your house, do it all electronically. The next thing you know, somebody's knocking at your door. This is my house. Oh, no, it ain't. I've been in my house 30 years. What do you mean? I mean, it's scary. I beat that one because I put a lien for my daughters on mine. because my one paid for it, and I put a lien for my kids to get that out, so they have a lien, even though there really isn't a loan. Because they're not gonna mess with somebody that's carrying a lien on their home. You owe nothing, they're gonna mess with you. Huh?
That's true.
Oh, I put a lien. You gotta pay my kids off first. So if you can afford $400,000, my house ain't that much, but they're gonna be excited because they're gonna get $200,000 apiece. And that was a great question. I'm really, and I'm really not trying to avoid, I don't know. I would think that the banks and the credit unions have thought about all this and would verify that the liability would not fall because of the electronics, and it would fall back on the person willing to do it. Because, you know, I'm not willing to do it. I have nothing electronically set up.
Yeah. But I understand what you're saying, but it's not even the question. It's just that you say hello. It can take your voice and recreate your voice. And all it has to do is type in text.
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess the hard part for me is you're gonna have a hard time collecting, because I wasn't collecting.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't.
You know, she asked me how safe is email, and guys, email, again, that's electronic, and it depends on how safe you keep your system. How much do you share? Guys, this is a fact. If you have, what's her name, Alexa, in your house?
Yeah.
And it's the one with the TV and the camera?
Yeah.
I can go in your house. I can go in your house. If I know your codes, I can look in your house wherever that machine is.
That's true.
We were on a trip, and we was wondering if electricity, we heard about a bad storm, and also my daughter said, well, Daddy, go in and let's see if Alexa will show you your kitchen. Oh my God, in seconds she had me in my kitchen. The electricity's on! You know, Alexa answered. And so, yeah, they can come in. They just installed me a new camera today because I do Zoom for clients that would rather do it live. Well, they gave me this little thing, Mr. Kimmel, I would recognize that you put this on there. So it's a little cover that comes down on the camera, because she goes, people are getting, like, coming into your office, people are crazy. They have that, yeah, because it's the camera. So it just comes down and snaps right in front of it, and it kills the camera. And, but she said they're having it happen everywhere. Because Zoom's, like if I do a big class like this and you get my information, because you came in on Zoom, I gave you an invite and all that, you get a lot of information to be able to come in there and do that meeting with me. And if you're not, I couldn't do crap, y'all. I mean, I really couldn't. It would be like, you're safe. My computer got stolen one time at Barksdale. I worked for them, and it got stolen. Literally broke in and stole it. And it said it was Kimmel's. Oh, don't worry about it. He ain't got nothing that the people, employees are on it. I only put what I put on there to help do my job. I don't play on the computer, so they were safe. But
I think that'd be very hard for someone to, I mean, I have two computers because I bought a new laptop, you know, and so what you're saying to me makes perfect sense, but I'm not out on the internet all the time.
no, well, that's the key. Protect yourself. Have one that you would use on, the one that you really put all your personal information, your business accounts, your stuff that you want to maintain. Don't put that out on the internet. Don't let people get on it and play on it. You know, don't let grandkids play on it. We have one in our den that's ours. That's, you know, the grandkids come, we got a little laptop that we let them play on. The less that you give access to it, the better chance you are will not be one of the numbers. There is, you know, if you find something happening, shut it down quickly, as quick as you can, because that will save you a lot of money in the long run. You know, and again, there are insurance out there that you can set up, and it's very inexpensive. That if you were to be hit, that one-time hit would be worth what you had to pay.
Right.
One-time hit for sure. And it's happening more and more, and I do believe you're going to see it heavier and heavier because of the system.
Who do you buy that insurance from?
You guys.
Identity theft protection and legal shield together, $35.95 a month.
And if you do, and I'm not selling him because he was a super nice guy, but I will say this: if you do a lot of interneting and you do a lot of transactions on computer, that's a great thing to have.
Yes.
35, that's a peace of mind.
Yes.
And they are on top of it. I mean, when a company comes together like that, they're finding out all the new trends, and they're finding out how they got in and how they play, and they're putting blocks up to make sure you're as good as your firewalls. The biggest company in the United States is banks that pay billions of dollars to keep your money safe. Because we're being hacked every second of the day, trying to get in. You know, and there's been some banks that got hit. Now, it wasn't at the level, you know, destroying them, like taking everybody's money. Is what you do, kind of thing. But they're working on it constantly. Yeah. So, I mean, it's always updated. Y'all, thank you so much, and I appreciate y'all. And I get everybody so they got your prayer. Can I get